Hello, 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 and welcome to the Lizzabitty channel, where we are going to have story time. Story time. A few housekeeping things before we get started. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Next, please like this video. This is going to be an interesting story time that I think that you are going to enjoy. Third, as people come in, you can engage, you can speak, all of that good stuff. So this is the first time that we're actually doing a live story time for the Lizzabitty channel. I'm your host. Thank you for joining. So where should we begin? This story will take place in Blantyre, Malawi. If you recall, the first story time that we had, it was about me setting foot on the continent for the very first time, okay? And what that was like for me as well. I didn't go into a lot of detail, but people in the comment sections were saying, yes, please give us some more story times. So I am trying to oblige you all, okay? So during my time in Blantyre, Malawi, there came a point where I had to get a cell phone. Where I was working in the mountainous area. And so we needed cell phones. Yes, where I was working, they had telephones, but we were told that we had to get cell phones. So this journey of story time will begin with the cell phone company, okay? So we visited two different cell phone companies. I am not going to mention their names. So the second company that we went to, there was a gentleman in there. I will say his name. His name is Zane. So going into the second cell phone company, we're looking around, trying to check out phones, see the different phone plans, all of this good stuff, okay? So I noticed that the gentleman in there, Zane, and I, we were consistently making eye contact. Although, of course, I'm kind of new to the land. I may have been in Malawi maybe 4 months, maybe at the most 4 months, at the most. So this particular day, we did not purchase because we were trying to compare plans with this carrier and the other carrier. So a subsequent trip, we ended up deciding to go with this particular company, which was the second company, not the first company. So we get our packages, our phones, etc. Just so happens that we would happen to have lunch, and my phone was not working. So I took my phone back. They said they had to do something to it, so I would have to come back later. Well, it was late in the day, and I told you we live in the mountains, so I could not come back later in the day. I'd have to come back a subsequent time, which eventually what happened for me. During this period for me waiting to go back to pick up my phone and the actual day that I actually do that, there was a call at my job. And I'm thinking, excuse me, excuse me. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, who could this be calling me at my job? So I rush to answer the phone because they say, Madam, there's a call for you. I'm thinking, oh, who could this be? I'm getting worried. I'm actually thinking that it's something that had happened back in the States. That's what I'm thinking. So I get to answer the phone, and there was this glorious, deep voice on the other end. And Lizzabitty. That's what we're going to say, he said, okay? So, of course, I'm perplexed because I have rushed to get to this freaking phone, right? And I said, yes, hello, and who is this? And why are you calling me? I mean, what's going on, right? So he was very subtle and calm. And he said, calm down. There's nothing wrong. I said, but it has to be. Someone is calling my job, so it has to be something wrong. So here we go. Hello, Synovia. So here we go. Okay. I try to calm myself. I say, yes, how can I help you? So he goes, this is Zane. And he names his company. So, of course, I am verklempt. I am in such a shock, I could barely talk. Let me describe this Zulu man, okay? Fine. That's all need to be said. And chocolate. Yes. So, I am trying to keep my inner self from exploding. One, I am in shock that you called up here to this job. That's the first thing. Second, I am just shocked that you decided to go through my paperwork and get my work number and call up here. So he says to me, Lizzabitty, I would like to invite you to lunch. And I say, yeah? He said, yes. What day works for you? So I said, I'm trying to think on my feet because I am just freaking nervous. Okay, I'm nervous. So I'm trying to think on my feet. What day is going to work? I said, okay, I have to come back to pick up my phone so we can have lunch that day. He said, great. Where do you want to go? Well, there had been a Italian spot that we had been trying, and the food was phenomenal. I said, okay, let's go here. He said, great. He said, do you take in spirits? I said, no, but I am a connoisseur of beer. Okay, great. So about 3 days later, it's time for me to go to pick up this freaking phone, right? Going to pick up this phone. So as luck would have it, my driver, he gets us there just a little bit early at the cell phone place so that, of course, I can make my 1 o'clock appointment. He did not say that he was going to be working this particular day. Okay. So when I walk into the place, he's working. I am so freaking nervous. You have no idea. I am sweating like this was like a childhood crush for me. Okay. I am just, my hands were like beginning to sweat. I cannot talk. I'm catatonic. Listen to me. It was, again, like a schoolgirl crush. I am a grown woman and I could not get myself together. Don't ask me why. I think it was because he was so handsome and attractive. I think that's what it was. So I walk in. One of the ladies that worked in the store, they were friends as well. Her name was Charlotte. Charlotte and I later on became subsequent friends. She was a really nice lady. So Charlotte basically took care of me. Now, as she's taking care of me, I'm trying to focus on what she's saying, but my eyes are over here looking at him and staring. So as she's wrapping up, he walks over and he says, Lizzabitty, I can drive us to the restaurant. I said, okay, well, let me tell my driver, how long do you think we'll be? Because he'll have to come back and pick me up. So lo and behold, I tell my driver how long we'll be, and Zane drives us to the Italian restaurant. Yes, blind guy, his wife. I'm serious. I was like, oh my God, so nervous. All of this stuff. So we go to the restaurant, and let me tell you, I like to eat, okay? But I could not eat in front of this man, okay? So I was so nervous. And so he finally said, please, can you just be yourself? Can you just be yourself? I said, I'm trying to. I promise you I am. So as I began to ease up, okay, I can partake in some of my food, because at first I really couldn't eat. I really could not eat in front of him. It was something was driving me insane. I just couldn't do it. Okay. So he said, well, would you like or cervezas? And I said, yes, yes, I would. That kind of smoothed me out. So I was able to talk more. So the first date, it was a hit. It was a hit. It was a hit. It was a hit. And hey, we began to date. And as time went on, what I relished about him was his love for his fellow man and his patriotism. Um, and so that grew this whirlwind love affair between him and I. And oh my goodness, what was taking hold of me, if you recall, in a subsequent video, I think I did my time on 7 continents. I believe that's the one where I talked about me leaving abruptly. So I'm a person, I don't do well, even to this day. I don't do well with death at all. Now, you may say that's cliche. Most people don't. That's true, but how they handle them or handle it um, is different. So for me, there's no different for me in terms of it being a blood relative, a friend, or someone who's so close to me I consider to be family. It's the same for me. If we work in close proximity, I'm considering you to be family. And people at my job were perishing at alarming rates, and my mental psyche was struggling with that. And then something catastrophic happened to Zane. Zane's brother was killed in a horrendous car wreck. When his brother was killed in the car wreck, it rocked my whole inner being. I had gotten to a point where I said I couldn't take any more death. I couldn't take any more. Otherwise, they was going to have to put me in a white coat because it was happening too frequently. It was happening too frequently. And so I said to him, I gotta go home because I don't feel that I have enough support system here to help me through all of this. Whereas other people around me, it seemed to be normalized. Death is normal. We are born to die. I got all that. But when you have people dropping like flies, yeah, for me, that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like to me. That's how I felt. Now, maybe in perspective, I was much younger. We're talking about 25, almost 25 years ago. So maybe it wasn't as frequent as I thought, but because my mental psyche was not able to handle it, maybe it was few and far between, and I just couldn't adapt. Hello, James Ermone. So, it was mentally traumatic for me. So I said, I have to go home. We tried to continue this love affair because I love this man. I loved him. I loved him. Okay. And what's interesting is that he never wanted to come. He was not one of these persons who had been hoodwinked by the West in thinking that America was better and he wanted to come to the States. He had no plans of that. He wanted me to return back because, as I told you a few earlier, he was a patriot. So, yeah, it turned out I ended up never returning. I decided to go back to graduate school to work on my doctorate, and it never materialized how I wanted to be. It just didn't. But we had some great times together. But yes, it was. Let's see. Blind guy and his wife, he said, what job were you working that people kept dying? It wasn't the job that was killing them. It wasn't the job. So I won't say what it was, but it wasn't the job that was killing them. Let me say that. What I found to be interesting on my journey living on the continent first is that, especially being a younger person, I saw and witnessed so much hypocrisy from the West that was daunting to me. So there were a lot of different mitigating factors that were hindering me as well because of the hypocrisy that was going on um, in this small, tiny, landlocked African nation. And so a lot of things were plaguing me. I could have dealt with those, but this particular thing, I couldn't take it anymore. I could not take it anymore. And so the catalyst being Zane's brother's passing away. And I knew him. I knew him. I enjoyed him. We all had good times together. His brother took us to like my first actual play in the country. Like they would have plays and stuff. And it was my first theater event. His brother took me. So, I knew him intimately. And so it was, I didn't want to go. I didn't. But I needed to be healthy. I needed to be mentally healthy. And I just was not getting it. I just was not getting it. And of course, as I said, being a younger person, I just didn't have the skills that I needed to fulfill this like I needed. Now, if it was now, I would have handled things just vastly different if it was now. So Sonovia says, do you think you will ever see him again? So since that time, Sonovia, he and I had talked. He had come to the States. He had came. But again, as I'm telling you, he never wanted to live stateside. He wanted to be where he come from. And I understood that. I had began my doctoral studies. And of course, I wasn't going to leave my studies. So the last time I saw him, umpteenth years ago. But since then, Sonovia, he had married and had a family and all of this good stuff, So what ended up happening was I had a friend, the same friend I mentioned about my first time setting foot in South Africa. So her job would take her all over the place as well. She ended up in Malawi. He had moved from Blantyre to the capital. The capital of Malawi was Lilongwe. So his job ended up moving him to Lilongwe. So she was there working. Of course, they end up connecting and all of this stuff. And so at different intermittent times, while she was there, she would say, I saw Zane and he's doing well. And one time, they end up seeing each other somewhere, and she happened to be on the phone with me, and we talked as well. So we had talked, but life takes on its own shape and form, and he ended up marrying and had a family. So subsequently, years later, I want to say when I was like first maybe on this Facebook thing or whatever, or was it Facebook or it may have been, I don't remember. We may have said hi like this. But since he had married, I'd like to keep business. Okay. But yeah. But we had a whirlwind love affair. I mean, I love this man. I did. And if things had been differently, there's no telling, I probably wouldn't be right here talking to you to this day, because I would have gotten married to him and we would have had all of this other stuff, maybe some family stuff going on. Who's to say? But he ended up on, doing his thing. So that's pretty much for the story time. But when I tell you, honey, he was delectable chocolate. Yes, indeed. Handsome, and fine. Yep. I love chocolate. So, anywho, I don't want to belabor or keep you all too long. So that's my story time, unless anyone has any other questions and all of this stuff that you want to ask me. Otherwise, I am going to end the live and tell you to thank you. But this is just about me falling in love with a Zulu man, So Blind guy, his wife, their life says, is he happily married or might he become again? So I haven't talked to him in years. I can't say. I couldn't tell you. I can't say if he's still married. I can't say. But by now, um, shoot, the last time I spoke to him, I'm trying to think if he had one or two children. Um, but maybe the eldest, if it's just one, he may have two now. But that child should be about, man, 12, 13 years old. Yeah, exactly. So I can't say if he's happily married. Again, I keep business. You married. I don't need to be talking to you like that. I mean, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that kind of karma. So yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? Otherwise I'm going to cut the live. So yeah. I fell in love with a Zulu because he was Zulu. And mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I will not belabor and keep you. I don't even know if I will ever set per se foot in Malawi again. Of all of the African countries that I have, thank you, James Ramones, I have been to. I'm not going to say that Malawi would be top on my top five. Let me say that Malawi would not be on my top five. So I can't say. I can't say if I would ever go there again. Can't say. All right. So, oh no, I fell in love since then. I'm really talking about this particular gentleman. I have fallen in love since then, but I'm really talking about my first time falling in love on the continent. Mm-hmm. And having this whirlwind affair. Yeah. All that good stuff. What was life like in Malawi in general? In general, a very small landlocked country. They dealt with a lot of, I don't know if you're familiar with their their previous, well, they had a dictator for years and it was Banda. And Banda, as much good as he did a lot of harm to people. And so people were suffering after because he had been dictator for quite some time. So the current president was, what was his name? Was it Bakili Maluzi? I think that was his name. And I'm not sure how many terms he ended up serving. But in general, they dealt with a lot of politics caused them a lot of strife. So let me say that. And so because of that, regular people were being in the fray of that. People who didn't even want to be political, but because political games were being played, they were being caught in that. And so people were suffering. They were also suffering because of drought. They hadn't had like good rains. And so with the farming, the farmers were suffering because of that as well. And keep in mind, you're talking about in 1999. So this was quite some time ago. Yeah. So, oh yeah, Synovia, I love a good romantic story. Ooh, I am a hopeless romantic. I am. Anywho, I will not keep you. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll have some more story times. I will I'm going to do a story time on when I thought my roommate was basically lost out at Mount Kilimanjaro. Listen, this almost led to an international situation, okay? When I tell this story, it's probably going to take about an hour. So anyway, thank you for joining. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and thank you all for watching the replay. Lizzabitty is out.